Chris Wagner, the Rector's Warden, is going to speak to us for a few minutes from the lectern. No, it's not on. No, it's on.
With your permission, I'd like to take a few minutes to describe my journey to St. Thomas. Unlike many of you who no doubt arrived at St. Thomas after a very mature spiritual search, I ended up at St. Thomas taking a more traditional course. It was a guilt trip from my mother. You see, I was born and raised in a devout Roman Catholic household, but after 19 years of Catholic schooling, I had stopped attending Mass altogether. Then in February 2008, my mother, who's Irish Catholic, and she's a mother of 11, approached me and asked if I would please attend Mass during Lent because she was suffering from shingles. So with a request like that from an Irish Catholic mother of 11, you just can't say no. So I had lived at Hollywood and La Brea for many years, and I had seen this church. I'd driven by it many times. And from the outside, it looked like a Roman Catholic church. It had the stained glass windows, the traditional Gothic style. So I figured I could satisfy my obligation to my mother by just walking down the street and discreetly attending Mass. So during Lent in 2008, I would sneak in to the 8 o'clock Mass in the back here, making sure no one saw me. I would sit in the back, and then as soon as the service was over, I would dart out, making sure no one had a chance to talk to me. Then one day, Vince Mazzucchelli, who many of you know, who was the usher, he planted himself between my pew and the door to make sure I couldn't make my normal escape. Vince then politely asked me if I would come to the coffee hour, which I did, and Vince used to make all the pastries for coffee hour at that time, and so there was a little bit of he was, I think, trying to bribe me to come to the coffee hour. So I attended, and I started coming to St. Thomas on a regular basis. By this time, I had figured out that this was not a Roman Catholic church, that it was, in fact, Episcopal, and that didn't bother me. In fact, it was sort of perfect, because I love the ancient liturgy. I love the beauty of this place, but I didn't have to deal with some of these issues that I really had strong disagreements with the Roman Catholic Church. So for me, it was really a perfect place to end up. After a few months attending Mass here, I started feeling the same pull to this place that Leslie Kaplan a few weeks ago talked to us about. There was not just the beautiful liturgies, but the inspiring and thought-provoking sermons from Father Davis, many of which go way over my head, despite all the Catholic schooling I went through. There was also the beautiful music, but most important to me was the people that I met here. So without me even realizing what had happened, St. Thomas, within just a few 4 to 6 months, had become a very important part of my life. Now, fast forward about 6 years. We're now embarked on our capital campaign, the first in what I've been told is 80 years. The name of the campaign, Claiming Our Heritage, Building Our Future, provides all of us with an opportunity to become part of something that will be here long after we're gone. I sometimes walk around this church and I read some of these plaques and the memorials that you can find throughout this place. And I sometimes think about the people who were here before me, decades ago, or even a century before. Each person has a different story to tell, and their prayers have saturated this building. When I walk around the church and the grounds, I also see how much needs to be done. The organ, which you'll find throughout this building, the stained glass windows, which probably brought me here in the first place, besides my mother, the kitchen, the security, the air conditioning and heating, which we need to repair. All these areas need our help if we are to be good stewards of this place for the relatively short period of time that we're here. I have already submitted my pledge to the St. Thomas Capital Campaign. After talking to Father, I ended up going a little bit further than I thought I would. I stretched a little bit. But after meditating and praying about it, I realized that this is very important to me, and it's important for the history of this church and all the people who came before us and will come after us. I've also been grappling with how I want my gift memorialized. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to sponsor one of these beautiful stained glass windows which are in desperate need of repair. I'm going to dedicate it or memorialize it for my parents, and in particular for my Irish Catholic mother of 11, who guilted me into coming to St. Thomas in the first place. That's the least I can do because both St. Thomas and my mother have made all the difference in my life. I urge you, likewise, to pray and meditate about what St. Thomas means to you. Please give generously to the Capital Campaign and become a permanent part of this place, which already has 100 years of history before us. And hopefully, 100 years from now, it will be making a positive difference in people's lives. Thank you.